wear my clothes like you because I'm not.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hello. Hey, everybody. And welcome to Life in Sync. I'm Mary.
I'm Erica.
And Miss Rhonda.
Rhonda.
And we are so happy and excited today because this is our 13th episode. We've been going strong consistently with Life in Sync for 13 weeks straight. And so we're going to call this Season 1 Review today because we talked about so many different topics, so many important things, all in the effort to encourage you, to inspire you, to be transparent, to let you know that we all go through, we all have issues, but we're supposed to be building and growing and developing and getting better and better every day. And so some of the topics that we talked about, I'll just roll out the first three. We just kind of recap and review. That first week we talked about resilience. The second week we talked about vulnerability, and I may have it out of order for the third week, but I know we talked about self-sabotage. And I think those three things really go hand in hand, especially in a time like this, because resilience just simply means the ability to withstand, and to hold up and to keep on pressing, moving forward, keeping the grind going through difficult times. And we all shared our stories of how we were resilient through difficult situations in our life. Me being one of a single mom, going to school, teenage mom, not having money, experiencing lack, challenging relationships, growing as an individual, making those mistakes, but even in that transition and overcoming, we talked about vulnerability, being able to open up, having that safe space with people you can trust. I gave an example of me going through some things, fairly in the recent years, probably about 3-4 years ago. And it was at the point where I had to stop, getting my hair done. But my friend covered me and she did not let me look like what I was going through. I had to be vulnerable, open up about my situation because she was someone that I could trust. She helped me get through that. She didn't expose my situation. She didn't gossip my situation. So having the ability to be vulnerable and having that safe space to do that is important. And also, we talked about self-sabotage and how sometimes we can get in our own way. Sometimes we do things, or we're dysfunctional and not even realize it. And we're putting ourselves in a situation where we're actually being a hindrance to our own self. It's not the haters. It's not the people in your life. It's not the this and the that. But sometimes it's us getting in our own way. So I'm going to let Erica, you can start off with talking about resilience, vulnerability, and self-sabotage, from your perspective, just to recap with your situation and the things you've had to overcome.
And I think as far as those topics, resilience and vulnerability, self-sabotage, as an adult, when we think about a lot of things, we think about our childhood, our teenagers being young and dumb, making mistakes. What about when you're an adult and you make those mistakes, where you did not make the best decisions that you could have made? So when I think about resilience, I think about how we persevered, how I stood the course, how I kept my head up in spite of what people were saying, or in spite of how I may have felt bad about myself. I continued to press forward in that. So I think the more you practice something, I know the more you practice something, the stronger you become, the better you become at it. So I think the more you go through adversity, the more you press through, the stronger you become, and you're able to withstand when that thing hopefully that thing won't happen again. But when difficult situations do occur again, you'll be able to make it to the finish line successfully, even though you may have some bumps and bruises, even though you may hurt, even though you realize that you have made some mistakes, or your outcome may not be what you thought it should be. You're resilient. You continue to stand. And even in the midst of that, you are vulnerable. When you're going through a fire, when you're going through a tough situation, you realize, hey, I've got some weaknesses. I failed to make that good decision. I failed to go forth and speak to this person or make this connection or follow through with this action I should have. And you become aware of yourself and say, hey, I have some weaknesses. I'm vulnerable. These are some areas in my life where I need some help in. So when you go through those trying situations or that fire, you realize that you have some weaknesses. And of course, self-sabotage. Who hasn't done it at one point in their life? Who you sabotage your own plans. You think that, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm setting out to do this, but you talk yourself out of it. It could be because of your low self-esteem. It could be of what somebody or a naysayer said to you and discouraged you, and you believed it. You took it within yourself. So as I review the year, and this is the 7th month of the year, and just think about all the calamities in the world today and how they affect us personally. And we're still here in the 7th month. We were resilient. We have shown our vulnerabilities. It got us down some of these situations. And there are times we could have self-sabotaged ourselves, but we're still standing. And so that's what I take away from it. We're in the middle of the year, but we persevered through it all. And we still have we have the rest of the year to go. So definitely these topics, they are important to what we're going through this year, our personal lives, as well as world situations.
I like the fact that, especially like beginning to think when you started talking about the fact that you turned your mistakes, your vulnerabilities, your mess, your things that you went through into a message. And because you wrote a book, and
Right.
now that book has become a platform, and
Yes.
some amazing things have happened for you and have started happening for you because you stepped out on faith and you told your story. And so
Absolutely.
I hope that is an inspiration to some people to understand that you can make it through anything, and that we don't go through what we go through and survive what we've been through just to be doing that.
Right.
It's a platform, it's an avenue, it's a resource to pull somebody else out. And so I know your book Push Play has been an inspiration to a lot of people. And like I said, it's opened up some doors you probably never thought would be open,
Right.
all because you
Absolutely.
were in a place where you felt that you needed to tell your story in order to heal. And so I congratulate you on everything. Can't release everything now, but I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of you that you were able to tell your story. And I think that's great. Great. Miss Rhonda?
Well, I can say, let's see, throughout this first season, I don't know, I've been kind of recapping in my mind, just thinking of some things. First of all, it was a big step for me to actually do
Yes.
something. We ourselves are really showing vulnerability by doing Life in Sync.
Right.
A lot of people think it's just something to do, but no, you're being vulnerable. When you put yourself out there in front of people, and I'm actually just telling your story. Being brave enough to tell your story. We all have stories. We all have told our stories. Mine's from miscarriage to divorce. Things of that nature. Like Mary was saying, teenage pregnancy to businesswoman. And then you have Erica being this author from, and this strong empowerment person coming from what she has expressed in her book. So it's a lot of vulnerability, that comes along with it. And I am a very personal person. So me doing something like this is really, really out of the norm. But it has caused me to grow as well. I have mastered that thing of showing you who I am, but not really showing you personally to only the people that I really want to know me, So I have mastered that of being able to show you just enough. But being here has really, I couldn't really do that because you really, in order to see change, you want to be truthful. And so everything that I have said is things that either I have went through or things that I have done to accomplish the things that I have accomplished so far. And I wish that more people would see the bravery in being vulnerable. You know, not necessarily you giving somebody a tool to work against you, but actually being a tool to propel you. And so I
So, can you hear me,
do,
Erica?
you know, and when it comes to self sabotage, whether you want to self sabotage in your relationships, or we have all been a part of self sabotaging, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in any business endeavors you want to do, or any friendships, you know, we can let our mind get the best of us at times. And sometimes, you know, when it comes to self sabotage, in order to really conquer that, you have to, as the main thing that we have been saying over and over and over, you have to be true to yourself, and you have to know yourself.
Right.
And that's one main key that will help you overcome self-sabotage, when you know yourself. And when you get into a place to where it's iffy, you know, if you know yourself, you know how to pull back, you know how to get in that still place. I know with myself, I pull back, I get in that still place, and I listen to the one that can bring me clarity. And so that's one of the main things that we have been pushing and pushing and pushing throughout the show, is being vulnerable and being true to yourself.
Okay. So, we'll move on to the next topics. We talked about one topic we talked about was mother to son. We talked about emotional intelligence, and we talked about rules of engagement. With mother to son, we are all mothers, and we all have one son. And I love my son, and like it's ridiculous. And he's in here. He's like, stop talking about me. But and what we were talking about was how do we talk to our sons about racism, not promoting hate, to hate someone because they hate you, but in an effort to make them aware that sometimes some people may not like you based on the color of your skin, and how to balance that. And each of our sons are at different stages of their life. Like my son is 8, so he has friends right now of all different racial backgrounds. They love each other, everything is cool. However, when they start to get around, it seems like where Rhonda's son is like 12, things start to happen, and there becomes some for some reason a racial divide. And then, you know, by the time they're a teenager, like Erica's son, they really oftentimes in many cases, you know, are separated based on race, other issues too, but based on, you know, race. And so we wanted to, you know, we discussed about ways in which we could, you know, have a talk with our children, you know, in a way that is positive, you know, so that they, you know, will be esteemed in the conversation, but also have an understanding that, you know, we don't hate people, but, you know, we live in a world where everybody doesn't think and believe what we think and believe. And so we talked about mother to son. We talked about emotional intelligence, knowing your emotions and how to navigate through your emotions. My emotions have taken me to some bad places.
Oh, haven't they
I,
all?
I have showed out in a whole lot of places about a whole lot of stuff. You know, and looking back on it, it was so stupid. And it was just the grace of God that allowed me to be able to, you know, be where I am. There was truly a purpose for me, you know, from creating a hostile work environment, et cetera, et cetera. You know, having to get somebody told, you know, not really being afraid of confrontation at all, if that's what it was, and okay, whatever, you know. Just really, and it's all about growing and maturing and being aware of yourself, getting yourself together, you know, and just saying, I'll never let somebody take me there emotionally. I allow those things to happen. And so just really learning myself, learning what my triggers were, and just really getting myself together, you know, as a person, has really took me to another level, you know, in God, in my career, in ministry, and how I handle and deal with people, you know, and just really being a better person. So you got to be emotionally intelligent and rules of engagement. When do I engage and when do I not engage in times of confrontation and in times of difficulties or in times when we're challenged? You know, when do we let go? Am I the person that has to have the last word? You know what I'm saying? Am I the one that's always got to be right? You know, so knowing how to handle yourself and mature in those three areas are very, very important. So, Eric, I'll let you talk about the mother to son, emotional intelligence, and rules of engagement.
As far as dealing with children, my children, mother to son, again, I just kind of refocus on what's going on in society today and just watching my son. You know, I didn't grow up with brothers. It was just me and my sister. So my, knowing what teenage boys think and how they perceive things is new to me. So by listening to my son's opinions and his thoughts on what's going on in society and his place in society and how he may be perceived in society as possibly being a threat as a 15-year-old Black male. But it's not, he understands it, but that doesn't overtake him. That doesn't overwhelm him. That's not the first thought on his mind when he gets up in the morning. That's not the first thought on his mind when he goes to school or when he interacts with people. And I'm thankful for that because he can see that I'm a person. He says I'm a person and that he wants people to see him for who he is and not the color of his skin. And so I really can appreciate that. And at the same time, he's aware that some people do see him simply because of the way he looks. So I think it's an individual thing. And what goes on in your home, what you teach your children, sometimes their behavior, well, not sometimes, their behavior is a reflection of what they learn at home. So it's so important that we talk to our children about what's going on outside and how they are to conduct themselves and how they are to treat other people. So that's so important, and especially with things going on the way that they are. And even when we're talking about emotional intelligence, that plays a large part in it too, with child rearing, as well as how we interact with others, how we interact with people on our jobs, interact with family members, interact with situations in our life. We have to make choices. And if you think about it, everything in life is a choice. When you get up in the morning, that's a choice. You're going to choose to get out of bed and go to work. Or you're going to choose to lay down and not get up. Everything you do is a choice. So it's important that we are mature in our choices emotionally, even when we get in those pressing situations, even when we feel like, things are not going our way. We cannot react in our emotions. We have to be proactive, not reactive. And we cannot just go on what we feel a lot of times. We use wisdom. There are things in our heart or things that we see, we understand that are not right. And we have to choose whether we say something about it or whether we pull back. We choose our battles and decide. We make a choice. So there's so many times in life where we say, hey, we want to point the finger of blame. I didn't do it, or it's somebody else's fault. We have to be accountable for our actions because you made the choice. And there are many times we say some people, they made the choice for me. I just got thrown in this situation. But yeah, you've got the choice to do something about it. You got the choice to come out of it and decide what you're going to do about it. And you're going to choose to engage in that situation or not. Do you choose to take part in it? And if you do, how are you going to behave in that situation? So I think it's just so important, these points about the rules of engagement and about with our sons and our children and talking to them. It's just so important. And I like Sarah's comment. She says, I think as parents, when we open up our circles to do life with families from other cultures, we normalize sharing life experiences with other people who are different from us. We build a stronger and healthier perspective of each other's well-being. That is so true. And the values that we place on our children, the values we instill in our children in the home, they carry that outside the home. And when we connect with other family members of different cultures, they see, hey, we're all the same underneath. We may have some different values, but we all can get along. We can find some type of common ground in there somewhere, and that will help us all to just get along. So I think
All right,
that's
Rhonda.
very valid.
All right, Rhonda. Mother to son, emotional intelligence, and rules of engagement.
Well, of course, my son is headed to the 7th grade, so he's at that place, where the division is starting to come. But he does still at this moment have friends of other backgrounds, and I welcome him to do that. But I do also see where it's thinning out. You know, um, so I talk to him often, and especially when the George Floyd situation and the whole world was responding and acting to that, I had to talk to him because he was, kids these days, I mean, TikTok is the life, right? And so TikTok, Instagram, that's what they do. And so he would come and show me things that people were posting, people was saying, and, I'm like, okay, how do I respond to this without instilling hatred in him? So you have to be very careful in how you respond. And so, whatever I tell him, I always tell him, but with us being believers, the only thing we owe people is to love them, and I tell him that all the time. You have to love people regardless, okay? And so with him, because he had started responding to some things on social media and some things some of his classmates from school was saying on social media, and I had to tell him to kind of calm down and just really think, and what is this going to accomplish by you responding this way, and so it's really hard, when you're raising, especially a son in this time, and daughters as well. But it's really hard because I know that I don't want him to be beat down at home, and I definitely don't want him to be beat down in the streets,
Right.
So you have to be careful on how you really train them and teach them. So I do still, encourage, friendships outside of your race, especially to so you can be well versed. You don't want to walk around, viewing the world one-sided. I mean, you would never be able to understand people that way. And so I welcome it. I don't meet a stranger. And so I will talk to, whoever, because I'm that person that want to know. And so that's just what I do. And I try to welcome them to do the same thing, when it comes to that. So I just say, as parents, and like the lady said in the comments, we have to welcome other cultures in. So, because kids going to mimic what they see in their home.
Right,
So
right.
we never invite other cultures in our home. I mean, only thing they're gonna know is to stay within what they know. And so that's a great way to do it, by inviting other cultures and really just taking the time, just to understand and really see color. Oftentimes we say, I don't see color, but we need to see color. You need to see that, hey, that's a person from an Indian descent, or that's a person that's of Latino, or that's a person that's a Caucasian. You need to see that, because that will open your eyes to things that you're not well versed in, or things that you don't know. If we only stick with what we know and who we know, you will never grow that way.
That's
And
right.
when you do that, you block every opportunity of advancement, whether it's in school, whether it's on the job, or whether it's whatever you're trying to do. You block advancement by limiting yourself. And so I just try to teach my kids, and especially my son, to be open.
Mhm. That's good, Rhonda. Mhm.
Um, so when we moved along, we talked about creative space, and we talked about navigating a new place. And I really hope that if you've been really listening to Life in Sync, that you haven't been sitting around in this pandemic doing nothing, producing nothing,
Mhm.
not being creative, not trying to come up with strategies, you know, trying to build wealth, trying to, you know, getting out of debt, you know, correcting bad habits, you know, getting rid of toxic relationships. You don't have to cut them off, but you do have to have a distance. Making sure that you have people in your circle who are actually, you know, progressive. If everybody in the circle is scary, that's a problem. If everybody's negative, that's a problem. You know, because you want to be with people and connected to people that push you. Erica pushes me. Rhonda pushes me. They want to see me do well. We are not in competition with each other, but we're complementing each other. You know, even in the different things that we do, we're not trying to beat each other. I don't want to be Rhonda. I meet strangers. You're a stranger. I'm nice to you, but I don't know.
And she is so for real. She's so for real.
I'm nice, but I ain't trying to get to know you in the airport. I was taught stranger danger, you know, preschool, and that's been my motto. Hey, don't talk to strangers. But just, you know, just really, you know, things have shifted. If you've been sleeping and being lazy and not progressing, you missed it. And so this is the time to be productive, and a time to be moving forward, and a time to be getting after this thing. A time to be seeking mentorships, a time to be, you know, a time to be to get in a place where you're learning and growing and connected and taking a course. It don't have to be an official college course, but if somebody's offering something and you can afford to do it, even if you have to pay, if you can afford to do it, and it's something that's going to help you learn and progress and grow, do that. You know, so that's all I'm gonna say about creative space and navigating. I'll let y'all talk about that for just briefly, and then we'll move on to the next part. Okay. Who wants to go? Erica?
Oh, okay. Creative space, like you said, this time that we've had in this pandemic, it's a strange time. We've never been in this place before. So what better time is it for you to go out and do something strange and different than in a strange time? We're in the middle of a pandemic. Things are shutting down. People are income may fluctuate, but there is creativity. People's jobs are shifting to home. You can go online and start doing a job from home, work from home, something you've never done before. So what better time to be creative than a time like this? So take full advantage of it and realize what times we're in. Don't waste time and self-sabotage. Don't do that. Now is the time to get out there and jump and run and tap into something new. The door is wide open. Let's go. Let's do it.
Right, Ms. Rhonda.
And you know, like when I think of that, you know, and if it's something that's truly pressed on you and pressed in your heart, you know, that's an indication that it is attainable. You know, that is something that's meant for you to do. And I'll never forget, I gave a haircutting class, and so we had went to lunch. Actually, had broken between the class, and I was coming out of Wideman's. And me and the other instructor, and this guy like ran up to me. He said, "Hey," he said, "Is the class over?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And so he said, "Is the class over?" He said, "Look," and he said, "The only way I found you," he said, "is when you posted that picture on Instagram." He said, "I had been trying to call because he was late." He said, "And I tried to call this morning, but I forgot." But he had came all the way from kind of like Jackson area, and I had the class in Meridian. And so he just came without even contacting anybody, without even hearing from anybody. He came. And so my thing is, for me saying that was, if something is pressed on you to do it, you can't let time or you can't let money limit you or stop you. He came, when I'm talking about he came and hadn't talked to anyone, he was determined that he was going to find, you know, this class. And because he did that, you know, the other instructor was there. He said, "Hey," he said, "if you did that," he said, "I'm going to pay your way to this class." Wow. So when you push, most of the time, it's always going to be someone there that's able to impart into you, that's able to even push you further than you could on your own. But you have to make those steps on your own. You have to push. You have to first believe in yourself,
Right.
that it can be done. And know that if you're not equipped, guess what? Look, the person that what you're lacking in, you could be connected to someone that has it, or God will send that person that will help complete that thing and accomplish what He sent you to do.
Right.
Like Mary was saying, all of us complement each other, and that we do. And that's one thing that I really do love about being a part of this, and even being just connected to y'all as friends, that I can call you, get ideas, we can bounce things off each other, and everybody has a different perspective,
Right.
and everybody is respected, and hey, we say what we gotta say and call it a day. And people have to be mature enough to know that everybody's not going to agree with you. But guess what? That same person that don't agree with you could have the solution to what you need. Could have that solution to your problem. So be creative, be open, and don't limit. Don't let, like you were saying, work at home. It's plenty of jobs there. And I'm going to throw it out there. Even during this pandemic, I opened up, a virtual call center. And which is great, but it's in the midst of the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's things like that you can't limit yourself to. I went from working in a call center, when I moved, to working from home, and now I have a virtual call center and a staffing company. So hey, it's possible.
Y'all can pancake around here if you want to. Don't open a box. Just because
Exactly.
Just because she's a cosmetologist doesn't mean she has to always be a cosmetologist.
Right.
Don't be afraid to step out into new areas and new things. And how did she do that? She got up off of her behind and she believed that she could, so she
That's
did.
it.
Well,
Right.
why she do that? Because that's what she was led to do by God. And look at the hair industry right now, as it relates to COVID. And you tell me the Holy Spirit ain't real. He just created a whole new area of business for somebody, shifted her to a whole new arena in life, and she's prospering and doing well in a pandemic. So I say all that to say you can be successful if you put your mind to it and stop being picky and stop talking about people and just, and stop being afraid and reach out to folks that can help you. And stop talking to people that just want to know your business. But you need to be making some major moves right now, setting yourself up for success. And it's just so many things that, even with me, I'm doing. I'm not releasing it now, but it's just weird.
Yes.
Hey, it has nothing to do with the medical field.
Okay.
Wow. Yes.
So, yeah, it's good. So we're moving and shaking and doing, and ain't nobody mad.
No.
Ain't nobody mad.
No.
And we're definitely.
It was one point, Mary. It was one point we was texting back and forth like, "This is what happened. This is what's going on. This is what." It was just like, wow, like it's unbelievable. Like everything just started moving, all at one time. So it's awesome. It's awesome.
And I don't have to do what she's doing, and Erica don't have to do what I'm doing. We're just individuals doing our own thing. So definitely found me a tribe, and I'm so glad for that. Now, this last couple of weeks we talked about for the month of July was mental health, and it was Minority Mental Health Month. So we started out talking about the stigma of mental health and how people don't want to seek out mental health in times of crisis or when they need it, because of embarrassment. Because of distrust, because of many different issues. And we brought on some excellent experts. We brought on Tracy Williams, who is a mental health therapist, and she helps families in our community. And we also brought on Maurice Carter, who's a psychiatric nurse practitioner. Man, he laid it out. He making me wonder, do I need to seek some help? So I'm like,
yes.
I get some symptoms up in there somewhere. We all go through something, and so it's seeking mental health is absolutely nothing wrong with that. We need to be healthy in our mind, in our body and our spirit. And you're absolutely right. A cord with 3 strands is not easy to pull.
Mhm.
You're gonna make me shout and help this life.
Okay.
The Holy Spirit will never lead you wrong. It never.
Yes.
And if that's something that's telling you, that's the Holy Spirit. You better move on what the Holy Spirit's telling you, because you don't know what's ahead,
Yes.
but God does.
Right.
He knows
Right.
from the beginning. He's the author and finisher of your faith. He formed you before you were, in your mother's womb. He knew you. He has a plan for you to establish you, to bring you to an expected end, to give you a hope and a future.
Indeed.
And it's not to harm you, but it's to make you better. So why not trust him, the gift that he left here in the earth, which is to guide us, to lead us, to counsel us, to comfort us, to help us. So we can talk about the Holy Spirit all day, but also
Yes.
mental health. He can help you with
Yes.
your mental health and point you in the direction of a place where you can go and be vulnerable,
Yes.
so that you can get, what you need so that you can be healthy for your family. If I'm not healthy in my mind, I can't be a good mom. If I'm not healthy in my mind, I can't be a good wife. I can't have good relationships. I'm not going to be healthy in my business ventures. I'm not going to be able to make friends. You know what I'm saying? I can't make friends if I'm paranoid and I'm distrustful. I can't
Right.
build good relationships and a good foundation if I'm not whole.
Wait a minute.
She done got it to the brain, ain't she?
Can I preach to somebody live on their church live? But anyway, I'm gonna let Erica just hit on that mental health for a minute. Then Rhonda, then y'all know we got to get out of here because
Okay, Mary. Wow, but mental health is so important.
About God, I love God.
Yes, we love God. Yes, we're not rapping, we're not singing. I just
And look, Erica, I'm the one that's deep all the time.
I don't know. It's kind of a draw. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know who's the deepest. Oh man, I love y'all. I just pulling it. But y'all, mental health, being healthy mentally is important. We have to remove the stigma that there is something wrong or it's bad or you're an evil person or you're crazy. If you have difficulty through a crisis, that's life. So we can't look down on other people just because they may have an issue with their mental stability or their health. So it's important. And we start here by being on this broadcast, telling people, hey, if you need help, go get it. If you need to take some medicine prescribed by a doctor, go get it. If it makes you a better person, go get it. There's no shame in it. And absolutely, spiritual counsel, mental health is not just, mental, psychological, it's spiritual as well. It goes into the physical part as well. So you have to be balanced. You have to be in sync. All these parts of your body, of your mind, or your soul, Mary, soul triage, that has to be in sync with everything. Yeah. So we just have to stay connected in every part of our body and our mind and our spirit, as well as our heart. All that has to be connected. And there's nothing wrong with getting help to get reconnected. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Nothing wrong.
Miss Rhonda?
Nothing wrong. I say get help. Get help. There's plenty of places out there, that's equipped to even, support your whole family, so you can help support the individual that needs help. But I do say, I do agree with Erica, as a whole, we have to do better with that stigma, thinking counseling or therapy is only for a certain group of people. No, you need it too. You know what I'm saying? We are quick to run to the pastors all the time. I'm not knocking against that. I love the Lord. I love pastors. I love ministers. But some are not equipped, and you need somebody that's not.
Somebody's not going to be so biased. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of churches are even partnering with psychiatric and mental health facilities to provide care for people who have mental health issues within the church when they realize that it is not a spiritual issue. And those are those pastors and leaders that use a lot of wisdom. Everything is not spiritual, and some people do beyond the spiritual need to seek professional mental health counseling. So that's definitely one of those things that we have to look at. And I hope Rhonda can join us before we get off. But one of the things that we wanted to do was to do a Cash App giveaway. How we need to conduct that, Erica?
Well, I'm going to take the first person who I saw commented, and that would be Anita Jones Lowry. So if you just send me your Cash App, Anita, we're going to bless your soul today.
All right. So we got that Cash App giveaway. And then
maybe I'm back.
Also do a Cash App giveaway.
Well, I'm back.
Hey, Rhonda.
Girl, we so glad. I closed it out for you.
Way to go, girl.
But so we had to give away. Erica's already given Cash App away. I have a Cash App that I want to give away as well. And I want to give it. Can you see who the 13th comment was? As long as it's not the same person. 13th. So,
Tracy Williams. Tracy Williams.
The faithful follower.
She is faithful to Life and Sync. All right. Tracy Williams, you have a Cash App coming. And then Miss Rhonda, you got a giveaway?
Yes, I do. Not giving away Cash App, y'all. But as we stated before, I love the Lord. So I'm going to give away these flashcards, which contains the many names of God, the whole Trinity. And also it has descriptions on the cards to let you know exactly where these names are found from. And so you will know that when you read these,
the cards that she's
for the 14 Hebrew names on them. I know you're not going to be able to see it, but this is what I'm going to send out. Now, however Mary wants to send them out, how we going to pick it? It's fine with me.
Our third person on is Sarah Smith.
All right. So
all right.
Sarah Smith.
All right.
So those are some really good cards to study, in your time of Bible study, to learn about God and the names of God, and even in the Hebrew, learning and studying what those names mean. And it's just an awesome way to really build, on your biblical foundation and, grow in your biblical study. So we want to thank everybody who has joined us and listened to us through Life and Sync. And we are going to take a little bit of a break as we continue to grow and develop and work on all these different projects. We're going to take about a 3-week break. And so Life and Sync will be back on Tuesday, August the 25th at 9 p.m.
I was like, what?
August the 25th at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I want you to continue to work, continue to press through, continue to grow, be resilient, and continue to live life in sync. Thank you and have a blessed night.
Bye, guys.